Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see here behind me, we got the Freightliner back out, and I'm working on the hitch again. So I don't know, it was maybe 6 months ago, sometime last fall, I went through and was experimenting with alternatives to pulling your camper with an H.D.T and not spending $5,000 on hitches. And what I had came up with was converting to a gooseneck ball. This wasn't my first thought. My original idea was to leave the fifth wheel on. These are this is the fifth wheel perch where the fifth wheel sets on, and a fifth wheel on a H.D.T only pivots front to back. It doesn't have any left or right like your typical RV fifth wheel. So in order to take some of the stress off the camper and allow for the left and right motion, I switched to a gooseneck ball. Now, I did not buy a gooseneck extension that you bolt onto your pin box. I'm not a fan of those. I don't recommend them. It's just too much, way too much leverage there, and it puts a lot of stress on your pin box and the neck of your camper also. So this was what I came up with, and when we had our Road Warrior, it weighed, the max weight on it was 18,000 pounds. I don't know what it weighed once we had it loaded and all that, but anyway, that's what it was rated for, was 18,000. And I did notice when it was hooked up that right here where I have my ball mounted, I welded a piece of 4-inch channel iron underneath it and then bolted the ball in the center of that. It was actually flexing this piece right here. It was causing it to twist a little bit. So we only went on one trip like that. I don't feel like it was an issue, it was just flexing. And so my original plan was a kingpin to gooseneck ball adapter, and you'll have to go back and watch that video. I showed it in the video, but the guy was kind enough to give me a refund on it, so I sent it back. But basically what it was a kingpin welded to a plate with a gooseneck ball welded on the top. Now, the adapter that I chose to go with to convert to a gooseneck ball was too deep and the ball was too short. So when I coupled it together, it was just about setting flat, and that wasn't going to work. So I went this route, and this worked. I had all the room I needed, nothing hit, all the clearances was good. But I'm not happy with this setup. Number one, because it flexes, and I could brace it up, but I don't like it. I don't like not having the fifth wheel on here. It's just an added extra something that you have to do if I need to go move a piece of equipment or something like that. So I'm going to take this ball back off, and I have come up with another adapter that's going to allow me to put the fifth wheel back on the truck and actually tow from the fifth wheel. And by doing that, it's going to raise the height of everything so much that I'm going to take these riser blocks off. And this is something that I added to get the right height when I was pulling straight from the fifth wheel. So we're going to take all that off, drop the plate back down to the frame, and then we'll move over to the camper and I'll show you what I got going on over there. I'm gonna put this adapter, this just goes right over the kingpin, just like that, so there's no leverage. This is designed to go with a gooseneck hitch that Anderson sells. It's called the Ultimate Fifth Wheel Connection, and you just have to go check them out. It's hard to describe, but anyway, this is all a piece of aluminum, and it's got the cable here to unlock the pin. So we're going to put this on here, and by using this, you know, you don't have all that leverage like you do with, actually Anderson sells one, it's called the Ranch Hand, I believe, and it would stick down. It'd be a tube with a large base on the top, and you actually drill holes into the fifth wheel plate right here, and you bolt it, and it also has a coupler here that kind of taper locks on to this kingpin, and it drops down to about right here. Now if you think about that with, like, you know, even when you're using a ratchet like this, if you're putting leverage on a bolt, you get a lot more strength out of it when you do extend it. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of that style of hitch. So we're going to take this lube plate off. So you got two of these bolts that goes through here, and as you can see, they protrude into this section here. And what that does is when you put it up on the kingpin, these bolts will go through here like that. See, that stops it from coming off this way. So there's no torque specs for these. You just snug these up without breaking this plastic right here. They have the lock nuts on them. Now you can put this either direction. So if you're pulling with a pickup, and say you're pulling with a long bed and you want more weight on the front, you would hook it like this with the ball back here. That's going to move your camper closer to the front. So if you're pulling with a short bed pickup, you'll put it like that. That's going to move your camper to the back and give you more turning radius at the cab, on the cab corners. Now, I've got tons of room between the end of the frame on the Freightliner and the front end of the camper here. So I'm going to put it right here, move that camper to the front, and gain me just a little bit extra turning radius. Shorten me up a little bit. So I'm going to put those bolts in, and as you can see, it's locked onto the kingpin now. And like I said, you just want to snug these up without breaking that plastic. As you can see, they're not tightening anything. That's just, all you're doing is just holding that bolt in place. See, it still loose as it was. Now, it has 4 Allen set screws, 1/4 inch, one here, here, up in there, and there. Now, we'll want to try to tighten all these evenly. And what they do is they go up through this aluminum block here, and they go against this fifth wheel plate, and that's going to lock it from spinning like this. Now these will get torqued to 40 foot-pounds. you kind of just want to eyeball this and make sure you're getting it level. That looks pretty even. Now I don't want to tighten it yet because I need to measure and make sure that I've got it on straight. So I've got 4 1/4 there, 4 1/4 there, 4 1/4, and 4 1/4. That don't happen often. Okay, now that one touched. I'll bump that one a little bit. Now that one's touched. I kind of just want to keep snugging these up in a sequence pattern. I'm going to hit that one, then I'm going to go in an X pattern to this one, then that one, and that one. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and start torquing it down. And that's it. That's simple as that. Okay, when you're mounting your cable, you want to try to get as big a bend right here as you can. It's going to make your cable slide a lot easier. So you also want it to be out of the way, so you don't want it hanging down here, hanging up on the truck every time you disconnect from the trailer. So now you just twist that, pull it, now it's ready to hook up or unhook. You push it back in, twist it, and it locks it. Okay, so here's what I got going on. I've got my fifth wheel here, and I took the base off of the truck, put the two halves back together, got it mounted back on the purchase, and this is my solution. So if you remember, the other one I bought was just like this, except it didn't have this much rise to it. It was about probably an inch and a half shorter. Now, what I've done, this piece right here, this from the top of this plate down is all one piece, and it's called a weld on kingpin. You buy this and weld it onto your trailer. Well, I bought it, and then I bought another one of these 25,000 pound gooseneck balls. I took this piece here, the bottom piece, to a local machine shop, had them drill it and tap it. So they bored it out and tapped it and screwed this down in there, and then they run a bead of weld around it. So what we'll do, this will go in here like that, and we'll shove that in there and lock it into place, and the pin will go across. And then we'll have a gooseneck ball here. But now, here's going to be the issue. When I take off, I'm pulling, it's going to kick back like this, and when I let off, it's going to flip forward like that. So, we have to block this fifth wheel up in a manner so that it won't move. Alright, so I was working on editing this video, and somehow or another, I don't have any footage of adding these bolts to block the fifth wheel up. So I don't know, I must have just didn't press record or something. But anyway, so what I done was took these 1-inch bolts and nuts and welded the nut to the fifth wheel on all 4 sides the same all the way around, and then run this bolt into the nut. And then I'm getting ready to explain it, but I drilled and tapped the nut right here and put a set screw in there to keep this bolt from working loose. All right, so I've got some little set screws like goes in a motor pulley, little Allen headed set screws, and I'm going to drill this flat surface right here on all 4 of those nuts, and then I'll run this set screw in, and that'll hold the bolt in place. All right, so got the everything welded up, got the bolts in here, and I put the little set screws in. And we're gonna level it out and lock the set screws. I'm just going to snug these down just a little bit because I don't want to raise the fifth wheel up against this pin. It's designed to set on these perches right here. So we'll just hit each one just a little bit to keep it tight. Run these set screws in. I think that's got it. Now if I need to pull 99% of the time it's going to stay just like this, and I'll have the adapter in it like that all the time. But if I go to pull my gooseneck trailer that's been converted to kingpin, I'll have to take these bolts out to pull that gooseneck, which I don't do that very often. And also, if I borrow, sometimes I borrow an equipment trailer from the local sawmill to move some equipment. I'll just take the bolts out, and it'll work just like always. So I guess the only thing to do now is to hook it up. that's my solution. That gives it 360 degrees, a full pivot, tilt, whatever you want to call it. It can move in all directions. So we've welded these on, added the set screws, and got everything leveled out. Had to shim that fifth wheel to go in there. It's sitting in there pretty tight. Added the Anderson Ultimate fifth wheel connection. So we're good to go. So guys, that's gonna about do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful. Hope it kind of showed you what my idea was for converting this. You know, I don't have the big long gooseneck adapter that's gonna add all the leverage and stress to the neck of a fifth wheel, and I've achieved two goals. I've got side-to-side motion, the 360 degree motion like a gooseneck ball adds, and I've still got my fifth wheel on the truck, and I can easily hook to a commercial trailer. So this is a multi-use truck. You know, it doesn't have to be designated as an RV toter or anything like that. Okay, so we have been on a camping trip. We went to Tennessee, and that's, you know, roughly 600-mile round trip, a little less than that. But even with these lube plates in here, there's still a little bit of play. So when I take off, it kind of rocks back and then kicks forward, and it's not going to come out. There's no way it'll come out. So anyway, there's about a 1/2 inch difference right here. Apparently it's a little more, and I've got some ideas on how to take this play out of it. Possibly drilling 4 holes in this and taking like a 1/2 inch bolt or something and either run it underneath or down to where I can screw it down and torque it on 4 corners or in 4 different places, and that will pull this up and preload the kingpin, the fifth wheel pin. But it worked just fine. It just had this little bit of wobble to it. But like I said, I think what I'll do is take these lube plates back out, and then I'll just add some bolts here like that, so that I can run those down and preload it, and it'll pull up on that pin and everything will sit solid. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hadn't already, go down and subscribe. We sure would appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.